September 4, 2023. A user by the name of My Time to Shine Hello on Twitter writes a post which says that Red Dead Redemption 3 is officially in the works. And then a chaos starts in the entire gaming community on internet about this tweet. Everybody got excited and was overflown with hype about this RDR3. Some people were happy whereas some were not. But now let's come to the main point, which is Red Dead Redemption 3. What is the truth behind these talks of RDR3? Is it official or not? If it is official, then when we can expect it to release? And more importantly, that what is it going to be about? We are gonna address these questions in this video. So let's begin now. Before talking about RDR3, let's talk about that tweet with which all of this started. My Time to Shine Hello usually posts stuff about movies and web shows more than video games, so we can't really call them a video game journalist. In that tweet, they just said that RDR3 is in the works without giving any description, source and explanation about that where did they got this info from. Also, another thing to be noted that none of the gaming critics talked about this RDR3 because as you know that they love to flatter big companies like Rockstar Games. So the fact that they didn't spoke a word about this even after this My Time to Shine guy came out of nowhere and claimed that RDR3 is officially in the works feels kinda off to me, because there's no way that gaming critics will ignore a title by Rockstar Games. So that tweet was nothing but an unfalsifiable claim, which wasn't backed by any evidence. And even if we assume for a second that it's true, then also we are not going to get RDR3 in this decade, because as we know that it took 7 years to make RDR2 and GTA 6 is probably taking more time than that. So even if this rumor about RDR3 is true, then also we are not going to see it before 2030s, because it's obvious that if a huge title like RDR3 comes, then the fandom wants it to be better than its predecessor. Plus, it should be an upgrade to GTA 6 too, in terms of being an open world game, because it's definitely gonna come after GTA 6 if it's confirmed. So it's obvious that we will expect a better game than GTA 6. Another thing to be noted that we haven't even seen any announcement, trailer, teaser or any type of glimpse of GTA 6. It wasn't even announced at any games showcase event, and GTA 6 is believed to be the next title by Rockstar after RDR2, which was released in 2018. So if Rockstar isn't even providing much info about their very next title, then how can we expect any official announcement of a huge title like RDR3 from them? Because even some little stuff which was leaked from GTA 6 last year was leaked, which means that Rockstar themselves didn't want it to reveal anything about GTA 6 on their own. So even if we assume for a second that RDR3 is true, then also we can't expect it before mid 2030s, because it will be one hell of a super mega project, because Rockstar doesn't want to screw up this title. So they are probably gonna give it their all like they did with RDR2. Not to mention that they are gonna port RDR2 for like 500 freaking times on future gaming consoles before that. But let's assume for a second that it was true and we are going to see an RDR3 in the future. What do we want to see in it? Well, we are gonna discuss it in this segment now. First of all, let's talk about the plot. We have got a handful of possibilities for RDR3's plot, but sadly, it won't focus on John Marston and Arthur Morgan, because both of them are already dead. And if it is gonna continue with Jack Marston, then the game's theme will change from Wild West theme to the Roaring 20s theme, because by the end of RDR1, we had already entered the mid 20th century. If we talk about this setting, then this setting won't be bad at all, because the Roaring 20s era is also an interesting era, just like the Wild West era. because this was the era when new innovations in technology began. Industrial revolution started in this era. There were first vehicles which made their debut. Infrastructure started to develop. New styles in fashion and jazz music too became popular in this era. So this era has its own essence, just like the Wild West era. Not to mention that there were also cultural conflicts among the American society at that time. Plus, World War I had just ended around 1918, so these two topics can help in providing the plot space. Because a new arc for Jack Marston or any brand new protagonist can be written by using these two concepts. However, there is a problem with the Roaring Twenties setting, which is Rockstar's fanbase. Yeah, you heard me correct. Lot of fans won't like this setting because for them, Wild West is the main essence of RDR series, and I agree with them till some extent. But in my case, I am open to anything new as long as it manages to leave a good impression on me. But in their case, they don't want any other setting other than Wild West because many people came to know about RDR because of RDR2. So it's obvious that the Wild West setting has impressed some fans so much that they don't want to see anything other than it. So the Roaring Twenties might not get accepted by a lot of fans, but this was just one of the possibilities. The next possibility which we have is about backstory of Charles Smith. It was mentioned in the starting of chapter 2 that Charles Smith's mother was killed and then he never saw his tribe. So he ended up as a lone survivor who later joined the Vanderlyn gang. In the last mission of Epilogue, he mentions that he's gonna head to South America and will start a family. Now I don't know that what will possibly go wrong there, but his backstory has got a lot of ground to cover. If we are going to have Charles as the main character, then also the game will have to lose the Wild West theme because as we know that Charles was from a tribe, not from a gang of outlaws. So yeah, again many fans won't accept this setting, but it is sure an interesting topic to make a game on. But here's a problem with this one too. If this happens, then this RDR3 will be more like a DLC than a game. Because we have seen in the past that DLCs are tend to focus on a side character's arc instead of any main character. It can contain backstories plus a lot of extra content. Witcher 3's DLCs are an exception in this case because those weren't focused around any side character's arc. But in most cases, DLCs are more focused on any side character's arc who is an important character in the main game. The reason why Charles Smith's own arc will be more of a DLC than a main game is that the idea of his backstory itself indicates that, because RDR2 was a really long game, but this RDR3 will be shorter as compared to it because RDR2 wasn't just focused on Arthur, it focused on the entire Vanderlyn gang. But in this speculations case, even if it's going to focus on Charles' entire tribe, then also it won't be worthy enough to be termed as a standalone title like RDR2, because in RDR2's case, Arthur was introduced as a completely new character. Plus, there was a history of Blackwater massacre to back up his and gang's origin. At the other hand, this possibility will probably start as a teenager Charles, learning to hunt and using weapons like bow and arrow. Then he will grow up a bit. Then the events which he discussed with Arthur and Hosea in the beginning of chapter 2 will happen. And then we might see him surviving on his own in the wilds. And then he will find the Vanderlyn gang. And it will end. It will probably be very simple and straightforward, unlike RDR2. Plus we already know that what's going to happen because Charles had already discussed about all the stuff with which he went through. So this possibility is tend to be more like a separate DLC rather than a standalone title. We are definitely expecting a better plot than RDR2 for RDR3, if it comes. So using a possibility like this won't be promising for a lot of fans because nobody wants a downgrade. Same thing can be applied when we are picking Sadie Adler as a protagonist for RDR3, as we already know that she was a ranch woman who later on got attacked by the O'Driscolls and then joined the Vanderlyn gang. Even in this case, we are not going to get a long and complex game like RDR2, because we know that Sadie wasn't even a gunslinger. She was just a normal ranch woman, and we already know that she settles down and probably continues to live like a normal person after epilogue. So there's a very little scope for any standalone game's plot here. But the next possibility has got a scope for RDR3's plot, and that is about the formation of Vanderlyn gang. This possibility is probably the most demanded possibility in RDR's fandom, and not to mention that this also contains a lot of fan favorite characters, plus has also got the Wild West theme. This possibility contains backstory of Vanderlyn gang. How did the gang came into formation, who started it, and how were the lives of the outlaws who formed it? This possibility gives us a lot of room for questions like these. We can probably either have Dutch or Hosea as the protagonist. We will get to see the gang building itself up from the scratch. We will also get to meet young Arthur and John, and we will get to know all the other gang members about whom we weren't able to learn properly. Questions like how John and Abigail met, what happened between Dutch and Molly, what kind of person Arthur's father was, who were John's parents, will be answered. Besides this, we will also get to learn about origins of characters like Bill, Javier, Sean, Strauss, and about deceased characters like Mac, Jenny, Davy too. More importantly, we will get to know more about the Blackwater massacre. It was mentioned a lot of times in RDR2. We also saw that Arthur asked Dutch about this event a lot, that what actually happened there, but Dutch ignored this question by saying that we missed you, that's what happened. So from here we can see that this event was kinda mysterious. So a lot of RDR fans, including me, would love to see this scenario with an entirely new perspective. Imagine that the whole gang is charging towards Blackwater with their guns and a cool outlaw BGM is playing in the background. That will be just amazing, won't it? For me, this is the best plot base for RDR3, if it ever comes. But we have got another unpopular possibility, which is probably made up by me. Well, this one is about the gunslingers before Dutch and Hosea. That's right. I am talking about the outlaws who used to live a lot before the Vanderlyn gang and the O'Driscolls. The cowboys who used to dominate America in early 18th century. This setting too will keep the Wild West theme, so the fans will be satisfied as long as they make a well-written main character. However, this speculation is probably made up by me only, so I won't try to impose this on the fandom. What are your thoughts about these speculations? And do you guys want RDR3 or not? Be sure to tell me about this in the comment section, and feel free to share your own ideas too. And I will see you all in the next video. Till then, take care and bye bye.